We are all hypocrites, and that's okay. In this age of judgment that we currently live in which morality seems to be the most important thing on everyone's mind, it's no surprise to me that this has resulted in a lot of people feeling ashamed of themselves. And the worst thing about it is that what we are ashamed of is our humanity. The complex nature of what makes us human, the inconsistency of our decisions, the things we think, the way we express ourselves. Human beings, and I'll argue every single one alive, are way too complex to adhere to all of the rules of morality. And some of this doesn't even have to do with morality. A lot of the things that we see as moral or immoral change with the very quick tides of the internet anyways. So we find ourselves fumbling around day to day, trying to avoid moral failure in an effort that ends up detaching ourselves from our innate humanity. And not only our humanity, but how complex our humanity truly is. When we hold not only everyone else around us, but ourselves, to standards so high that no human being could ever conform to every single one, we all find ourselves entangled in this sort of collective loop of shame. But this loop of shame is not truly informed by ourselves or our own opinions or our own decisions. It's informed by an external feedback loop. A feedback loop that I can argue the majority of us subject ourselves to for no reason, or rather the reason being needing to feel socially accepted or included. But in the very participation of this feedback loop, we start to view ourselves in the same way we view other people. We start to document every thought or action that we make. We label our thoughts, opinions, actions, or decisions as something starkly black or white, good or bad. And what is good or bad, even historically, has fluctuated based off of how much society accepts that thing at that certain point in time. So I guess what I'm saying is, this collective attitude that's been born online of us being each other's judge, jury, and executioner has not only dictated how we perceive the world and other people, but it has permeated into the very way we perceive ourselves. And the way we perceive ourselves matters because if we perceive ourselves to be our own judges, juries, and executioners, we're not only keeping ourselves caged in unnecessary shame, we are stifling any chance we have to grow as individuals. And even to grow as a collective. And one of the things that I've noticed, even before the internet, to be a thing that is critically judged by the public, is the concept of someone being a hypocrite. And we all know the term hypocrite, but if you don't, a hypocrite is simply a person who is inconsistent with their beliefs, opinions, or decisions. But the way hypocrisy is viewed, now more than ever, is in my opinion far too extreme. Because of course, when it comes to people who are making decisions for others, and decisions that could potentially ruin the lives of others or even take them, like for instance a politician, hypocrisy in the detriment of others should not be tolerated. Or at least should be corrected. But when we hold ourselves to the impossible standard of never acting in hypocrisy or existing in it, we rob ourselves of a fundamental step in growing as a person. You cannot grow as a person if you never change your mind. If you're performing authenticity for external sources in order to not be labeled a hypocrite or a bad person, simply for changing your mind, learning something new and changing your mind, going a different way, or even behaving in a way that is inconsistent, which is, by the way, probably the most natural way for human beings to express themselves in an inconsistent manner. When you stop looking at your own hypocrisy as an irreprehensible moral failure, and you start looking at it as something that is indicating that you are growing, you can finally stop worrying about if other people are going to label you a hypocrite, if other people are going to see your bravery to change as a negative. Because in reality, it takes bravery to be labeled a hypocrite. Because in reality, it takes great bravery to challenge the decisions you make, to challenge the ideas you have. And not only to challenge those ideas, but to change them. And then to challenge them again and change them again. Change does not exist or happen in one linear direction. It happens in a multitude of directions, some of which you absolutely can't control where they go. I think as a society, we need to be okay with people changing their minds, not just once, but 1,000 times. Because life is not about staying the same. It never has been. It's not about never changing your mind, or thirsting for more, or even realizing when you thought wrong. Life is a process and a series of not only learning new things about the world or yourself, but learning that it's okay to be inconsistent. Authenticity doesn't mean staying in the same place. Authenticity means being able to change your mind every single day and being okay with that. Not caring about what people think about your inconsistent views or opinions or decisions, or even the inconsistent way you may express yourself. Because to care about that is to not live in an authentic sense. If you only care if other people are seeing you as authentic, based off of the structure that you portray of your life and the things that you believe in, then you're not living in authenticity, you're living in a performance of authenticity. Because true authenticity means giving yourself the leeway to think differently, to change your mind over and over and over again without shame, and without the fear of the social consequence of changing your mind. While the word hypocrisy or hypocrite might have an inherently negative connotation, you don't have to lead your life inferring negative things about the process of your own change. You don't even have to label yourself a hypocrite. All you have to do is acknowledge that what society would usually label as hypocrisy, or would usually label you as a hypocrite for, is simply you surrendering to the complexity of your humanity and allowing yourself to learn and change without internalizing the guilt or shame of others. And if you're a fan of the words or thoughts anyone else has to express, you must always remember that these thoughts, these words, these opinions, this self-expression that you admire in other people is a result of that person consistently challenging what they believe and having the courage to change them without caring about what anyone else thinks. So if you enjoy that about me, I would like to say that I'm going to continue posting longer takes here on my YouTube channel. And if you like that, I would implore you to subscribe and comment and do all those things right now. Because I will be posting more and in a large quantity. Okay, the podcast is also on Sundays, 4 p.m., every Sunday from now on. Get ready, hold on to your panties and boxers and everything in between, and I'll see you next time.